Have you ever sat across from someone you love and felt a quiet unease, like something had shifted, but you couldn't find the words to explain it? A little less energy here, a little more confusion there. Small things, easy to dismiss. But what if those small things were your loved one's body quietly preparing for its final chapter? In this video, we're going to talk about 5 signs that often appear in the year before an elderly person passes away. Signs that most families miss until it's too late. Understanding them won't make the journey easier, but it will make you more present, more prepared, and more loving during the time that matters most. Have you noticed subtle changes in someone you love over the past year? Things that just don't seem right, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Most people assume that death in old age happens suddenly, but the truth is, the body often gives us quiet warnings months or even a year before life reaches its final stage. Unfortunately, many of us miss these signs because they seem small at first, and by the time we recognize them, it's too late to prepare. In this video, we're going to discuss 5 key signs that often appear a year before an elderly person passes away. Signs that could easily be overlooked or brushed off as just aging. These signs are often subtle at first, but understanding them can provide you with the emotional clarity and practical tools to make the most of the time you have left with your loved one. Why is this video important for you? Recognizing these signs early can help you provide better care, create meaningful memories, and ensure that your loved one's final stage of life is filled with comfort, dignity, and peace. By watching until the end, you'll learn how to navigate these changes with compassion and clarity, ensuring you're not caught off guard, but instead empowered to make the best decisions. This knowledge can bring peace of mind and help you offer the love and support your family member needs during their most vulnerable time. Stay with us. Understanding these 5 signs is more than just being aware. It's about making the remaining moments as beautiful and meaningful as possible. You won't want to miss these insights that can make all the difference. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading these valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now let's begin. Number 1. Significant weight loss. One of the earliest and most telling signs that someone may be approaching the final chapter of their life is unintentional weight loss. At first, it may seem like nothing more than a small shift, a belt that suddenly needs tightening, clothes that hang a little looser than before, or a lack of appetite that slowly creeps in. These changes might be dismissed as just part of getting older, a natural consequence of aging. But what we often fail to recognize is that this gradual weight loss, especially when it happens without any conscious effort, is rarely a harmless sign. It is a message from the body. A message that says things are beginning to change in ways that run much deeper than we might want to admit. The body may no longer be absorbing nutrients as effectively, muscle mass starts to diminish, and essential bodily systems begin to slow down. Aging does naturally lead to some loss of muscle, but when this process accelerates, it's a clear signal that something is wrong. The body might be struggling to digest food properly, or it may no longer be able to process protein in a way that supports muscle maintenance. This leads to muscle wasting, which isn't just a physical concern, it affects the core of a person's independence and strength. The loss of muscle mass weakens the body, makes movement more difficult, increases the risk of falls, and perhaps, most alarmingly, compromises the immune system. A body that can no longer function as it once did becomes more susceptible to infections and illness, making the entire system more fragile. Appetite changes also play a significant role in this weight loss. Many older adults simply don't experience hunger the way they once did. Their sense of taste dulls, and food no longer holds the same enjoyment it once did. Meals become less about nourishment and more about obligation. For some, this results in skipping meals or eating smaller portions, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes simply not caring. This isn't just a passing phase, it's a physiological shift as the body starts to recognize that its energy reserves are dwindling. When this happens, the signals to the brain telling us to eat grow quieter and less frequent. What follows is a lack of energy, diminished strength, and a gradual decline in overall health that no amount of encouragement can truly stop. Beneath it all, there may also be medical conditions contributing to this weight loss. Diseases like cancer, heart failure, and kidney disease often progress quietly without showing obvious signs until much later. Even conditions such as depression or cognitive decline can lead to reduced eating and contribute to a cycle of weight loss. These illnesses don't just wear down the body. They quietly chip away at the mind, causing confusion, withdrawal, and despair. The body is simply no longer able to sustain itself the way it used to. Some families try to solve the problem by urging their loved ones to eat more, offering favorite foods, or supplementing meals with protein shakes. While these efforts come from a place of deep love, if the weight continues to decline despite these actions, it's important to recognize that the issue isn't just about diet. It's the body preparing for something deeper, a transition that cannot be avoided. At this stage, pushing for larger meals may not bring the desired results. Instead, the focus should shift toward comfort, offering easy-to-eat foods, prioritizing hydration, and creating moments of warmth and care that bring the person peace of mind. If you see significant weight loss in an elderly loved one, especially if they're eating less, feeling weaker, or struggling to stay active, it's time to stop and truly listen. This isn't just about appearance. It's the body sending a profound message. Understanding that message now, with empathy and compassion, can help guide you through the difficult journey ahead. It allows you to appreciate and cherish the remaining moments with clarity, knowing that the time we have together is precious beyond measure. We must be present and make each moment count, not out of fear, but out of love and respect for the path that's unfolding. Number 2, extreme fatigue and weakness. One of the most heartbreaking signs in the year leading up to the end of life is an overwhelming, unrelenting fatigue. This is not the kind of tiredness that can be remedied by a good night's sleep. It's a deep, all-consuming exhaustion that remains despite rest, a weariness that feels as though it's rooted deep in the bones. Even the simplest of tasks can suddenly feel monumental. Rising from bed takes every ounce of effort. A walk across the room feels like a marathon. Everyday activities that once felt like second nature, cooking, dressing, even holding a conversation, now drain the person completely. This profound fatigue isn't merely a symptom of aging. It's a sign that the body is working hard to conserve what little energy it has left. As organ function slows, the body begins to prioritize what's most essential. The heart no longer pumps as efficiently. Circulation weakens, and muscles aren't receiving the oxygen they once did. As this happens, those in their final months begin to feel weaker, unsteady, and less capable of sustaining the activity they once enjoyed. Metabolic slowdown also plays a significant role. The body, once efficient at converting food into energy, now shifts its focus towards self-preservation. Instead of fueling movement, energy is diverted to keeping vital organs functioning. This is why many elderly individuals in decline may need to sleep far more than before, finding themselves unable to stay awake for long periods or needing multiple naps throughout the day. It's as though the body has decided that its last few reserves of energy should be saved not for activity, but for survival. The emotional toll of this fatigue is perhaps the most devastating aspect. Seniors who once took pride in their independence begin to feel frustrated, perhaps even embarrassed, by their inability to do things they once managed with ease. They might withdraw from conversations, shy away from social interactions, or stop engaging in hobbies, not because they've lost interest, but because their bodies can no longer support their passions. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment one below to let me know you are still here with me. This withdrawal often leads to isolation, and isolation, as we know, only accelerates the decline. Watching someone you love go from active and engaged to withdrawn and exhausted is gut-wrenching. As a family member, you may feel helpless, unsure how to help or how to fill the silence that now lingers in the room. It's tempting to assume they just need to push through it, but the reality is that pushing won't help. The body is speaking, and it's vital to listen. What matters most in these moments is acknowledging their limits. Allow them the space and time to rest, to find comfort in stillness. Instead of focusing on what they can no longer do, focus on cherishing the conversations that can still happen, creating moments of calm and peace. In the end, what matters is not what they are able to do, but how they feel, whether they feel loved, understood, and supported. When all else fades, the love we give and the care we provide are what leave the deepest mark. Number 3, increased cognitive confusion or withdrawal. As we approach the final stages of life, the mind undergoes some truly painful transformations. It's as if the person you've known for so long, someone who once possessed a sharp, engaging presence, begins to slowly slip away. This isn't just forgetfulness. It's a gradual unraveling that's hard to watch and even harder to accept. The person who once remembered everything, from the smallest details to the most treasured memories, may now struggle to recall names, faces, or even events that happened just yesterday. Their once clear thoughts might now feel like an endless maze of confusion. For those witnessing this change in a loved one, it can feel like a quiet, ongoing grief. Imagine watching someone so full of life and wisdom lose their ability to connect to the very things that used to define them. Conversations become harder to follow. They may seem unaware of their surroundings or get lost in places they once knew like the back of their hand. Where they were once lively and engaged, they may now grow quieter, more detached. And that quietness isn't because they don't care. It's because the mind is no longer able to process emotions and connections the way it once did. This cognitive decline is an emotional journey for both the person experiencing it and their loved ones. It's not simply a phase of forgetfulness. It's a sign that the mind is slowly pulling back as the body prepares for the inevitable. You may witness them drifting in and out of moments of lucidity, fading back into confusion just as quickly. It's as though their mind is slipping between different points in time, leaving both them and you feeling helpless. Perhaps the most painful part of this process is the emotional withdrawal. The person who once had the energy to light up a room is now retreating into themselves, pulling away from the social interactions that once brought them joy. They may sit in silence, looking out the window, lost in their own world. But this isn't a choice. Their brain simply no longer processes engagement in the same way. The quiet is the result of a mind struggling to keep up, not a reflection of any lack of love or care for their family. Watching someone you love drift away mentally can feel like the slowest, most painful kind of loss. They are still physically there, and yet somehow not. And that in-between space makes it all the harder to bear. In these moments, the best thing you can do is meet them where they are. Approach with kindness and patience. Don't try to force them back into a conversation they can't follow or expect responses like before. Instead, offer comfort through your presence. Speak softly, provide gentle reassurance, and know that even in their silence, they can still feel your love. Because in the end, love transcends memory. Even when cognitive clarity fades, your love will be the one thing that endures. Number 4. Frequent infections and slow healing. As the body moves closer to its final stage, it becomes increasingly vulnerable to physical challenges that would have once been handled with ease. It's as though the body's defenses, once strong and resilient, begin to wane. You might notice that someone who rarely dealt with colds or minor infections is now constantly battling something: a persistent cough, a low-grade fever, or a small wound that simply refuses to heal. And these aren't just minor inconveniences. They are clear signs that the body is no longer able to fight the way it once did. For family members, watching this can be deeply frustrating. You may find yourself wondering why they can't seem to recover the way they used to. The answer lies in the body's slowing systems. The immune system, which once responded quickly and effectively to threats, can no longer mount the same defense. Repeated infections, such as pneumonia or urinary tract infections, become more and more common. Wounds that would have healed in days now take weeks or longer. It's heartbreaking to see someone you love struggle with something as simple as a bruise or a sore that refuses to close. A quiet reminder of just how fragile life has become. As circulation slows and organ function declines, even the simplest treatments become less effective. Antibiotics that once worked reliably may now seem almost powerless, leaving your loved one in a cycle of treatment that never quite brings full relief. It's as though the body, once so full of vitality, has become a battleground where even the smallest injury can spiral into something much larger. What truly weighs on the heart is that infections in the elderly often don't present the way we expect. There may be no dramatic fever or obvious chills. Instead, the signs are subtler: a quiet increase in confusion, a loss of appetite, or a lingering weariness that persists long after the infection should have cleared. This can make it difficult for families to recognize that something is wrong until it has already progressed. It's easy to become fixated on curing these infections, to push for another round of medication, hoping for a turning point. But sometimes the most profound gift lies not in the cure, but in the comfort. The focus shifts from fighting illness to ensuring that your loved one feels cared for, safe, and loved. Hydration, rest, and gentle, attentive care become more important than any medical intervention. This isn't easy to accept. Watching someone you love move through illness after illness can feel like an endless cycle, but it is also a time to offer grace, compassion, and patience. What they need most in these final stages is not just treatment. It is your presence, your tenderness, and the quiet reassurance that they are not facing this alone. Number 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. As the body edges closer to its final moments, one of the most unmistakable signs is the gradual change in breathing patterns and circulation. These shifts often arrive slowly and quietly at first, like a whisper, before becoming more frequent and pronounced. You may begin to notice that their breath grows shallower, slower, or interrupted by brief pauses between each inhale. At times it may seem labored or irregular, sometimes quick and shallow, then suddenly slow and deep, leaving you with a deep sense of helplessness that is hard to put into words. One of the most significant changes can be the onset of a rhythmic breathing pattern known as Cheney-Stokes respiration, alternating between deep, rapid breaths and long, silent pauses. While this may seem alarming at first, it is simply the body's natural response as it moves into a different phase of life. Over time, these cycles become longer and more frequent, and each pause carries an emotional weight that is difficult to ignore. Alongside the changes in breathing, circulation also weakens. The extremities grow cold and distant. Hands, feet, and even the nose or ears may feel icy to the touch, as if the warmth of life is quietly retreating. The skin may turn pale or take on a faint bluish tint, particularly around the fingers and toes. This is the body's way of redirecting blood flow toward the vital organs, a clear signal that the heart is no longer working as it once did. For family members, it is profoundly difficult to watch someone you love become physically distant in this way. But it is important to hold on to the truth that these signs are a natural part of the process, not something to be reversed, but something to be accepted with grace and gentleness. Even the smallest movements can leave them breathless. A slight shift in position, sitting up, or speaking a few words might cause them to pause and struggle for air. Tasks that were once effortless, walking across the room, finishing a sentence, now feel like mountains to climb. The frustration and quiet resignation that accompany these moments are almost unbearable to witness. You may feel powerless, unsure how to ease the weight they carry. In some cases, fluid builds up in the lungs, making every breath more difficult. The sound of a persistent cough or the gurgling that accompanies each breath is one of the hardest things a family member can hear. As breathing becomes more labored, lying flat may become intolerable, and they may find comfort sitting upright, propped on pillows or resting in a recliner. The simple act of breathing, something we all take for granted, becomes an exhausting, consuming effort. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know you are still here with me. For those caring for a loved one through this, the feeling of helplessness is real and valid. You may feel the urge to do more, to check on them every few minutes, to encourage deeper breaths, to fix what cannot be fixed. But there is a profound truth that must be gently accepted. Sometimes there is no reversing what is happening. The priority must shift toward peace, toward making their remaining time as calm and comfortable as possible. Keeping the room cool, using a gentle humidifier, offering small sips of water. These simple acts of care that matter more than they may seem. But above all else, what they need most is your presence, your love, and your willingness to simply be there. If you notice these signs, changes in breathing, cold extremities, or a faint bluish tint to the skin, do not be afraid of them. Understand them as the body's quiet, dignified way of slowing down and conserving what little energy remains. This is a time to sit beside them, to offer reassurance, and to create an environment where they feel safe, at peace, and deeply loved, where they know without any doubt that they are not alone. Final thoughts. As we come to the close of this discussion, I encourage you to take a moment and reflect on what we've covered: significant weight loss, overwhelming fatigue, cognitive decline, frequent infections, and the changes in breathing and circulation. These are the 5 key signs that may appear in the year leading up to an elderly person's passing. They may come gradually and quietly, easy to overlook at first, but when you know what to look for, they become impossible to ignore. For many families, these changes are painful to accept. It's only natural to want to fight against them, to urge a loved one to eat more, to move more, to hold on to life with everything you have. But sometimes, the most loving thing we can do is to honor what their body is telling us. We cannot reverse what is coming, but we can make their remaining time as peaceful, comfortable, and meaningful as possible. Understanding these signs isn't about living in fear of the end. It's about preparing for it with open eyes and an open heart. Recognizing the changes early gives you the chance to make thoughtful decisions, offer the best care, and ensure that your loved one's final months are filled with love, dignity, and quiet peace. This is a time to cherish every moment, to share stories, and to let them know that they are valued, that they have not lived in vain, and that they are not alone. We hope that today's discussion has offered you not only understanding, but also a sense of peace and clarity. The journey of life is filled with moments of love, hardship, and ultimately, the deep acceptance of its natural rhythms. Recognizing these changes in our loved ones allows us to offer them comfort, dignity, and love during their final moments. Now take a moment to reflect. What one thing stood out to you most today? What will you carry into your own life or into the way you care for others? We'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom for more content that helps you navigate life with wisdom, compassion, and grace. Thank you for being here today, and we look forward to continuing this journey together.